Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Digital Summit interview series. I am super excited to be joined today by Derek K. Hubbard, a manager of public relations for Southwest Airlines. Derek is responsible for managing a team that oversees the company's organic social media content and branded partnerships and entertainment. And I'm super excited to announce that he will be joining us for both of our first editions of Digital Summit this year, Orlando, February 26th through the 27th, and Vegas, March 13th through the 14th. Thank you so much for being here, Derek.
Thank you for having me, Danielle. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So speaking of Vegas, Super Bowl's coming up this weekend.
Yes.
As you and probably everybody else in the world has seen so many like full and partial leaks of these different commercials that are going to be airing on Sunday. Probably my favorite part of the whole game. But I do like football, but the ads are really worth it.
Yeah, I would agree.
I've got a few fan favorites so far, but any of them sticking out to you just in terms of the content? You think they're funny or they're just really well done?
Yeah, absolutely. This is always a very fun time of the year for me, as well as many of us who are marketers and advertisers, because we get to see ultimately the best of the best. So there are three that are currently standing out to me. So I'll start first with Toyota. I don't know if you've seen the ad or not, but they've released a couple versions where people are in the Toyota Tacoma and they're grabbing, I believe they're calling it the grab handle that's above the passenger seat. We all know those drivers in our lives who maybe aren't the best drivers. And if you think that you don't have those people in your life, it's probably you. You're probably the bad driver. And so it's funny because it really plays on this human connection and this moment that we all go through when we've been in the passenger seat and someone hits their brakes abruptly or steps on the gas to make it through a yellow light, and you grab the bar and you might say, oh my gosh, whoa, what's going on? So I think that's just a really fun play. I think people on social will have a lot of fun with that just because they can relate and possibly tell their own stories of ridiculous things that have happened whenever they were in the car with a friend or a family member who was driving erratically for one reason or the other. Mm-hmm. The next one that I'll talk about is from Elf Cosmetics. Now, I think I've only ever purchased one thing from Elf Cosmetics, and this was years ago. So I don't necessarily know that I am their target audience or demographic. However, I thought it was really fun and smart the way that they relied on casting to really make their product pop. So first and foremost, they're calling it Judge Beauty, including Judge Judith Sheindlin. Of course, she's been on TV forever. I think she's on Amazon now. And so it's really interesting to see them talk about cosmetics in the form of a court case being adjudicated by Judge Judy. And then as someone who is a huge fan of Suits and watched it during its original run, not the smashing replay success it's receiving on Netflix right now, but they cast two characters who were in the original Suits series. I believe Louis Litt and Jessica Pearson. For those of you who watch Suits out there, you know these two characters. So they are the prosecution and the defense, which makes it really, really fun just seeing them kind of in a courtroom again. So I think it's relevant how they use casting to really get their point across, as well as tapping into the zeitgeist of the moment, knowing that Suits has become such a phenomenon among those people who are streaming.
I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, right?
Yeah, Suits was one of my absolute favorite shows, so I can appreciate you being like an OG Suits fan, because I was like, we watched the whole series, and then I've been rewatching it because I enjoyed it so much the first time. But
I did the same.
That whole moment, it's been really fun to watch.
It's really cool. Yeah, I did the same, and some episodes looked new, but for the most part, I knew the broad strokes of where the story was going. And then number three, I saved for last because thus far we have only seen a couple of teasers. And as a certified member of the Beehive, I nearly spit out my coffee when I saw a preview of a Verizon commercial that really had a variety of Beyonce references throughout, including lemons, making lemonade, hearing one of her most recent songs, My House, playing near the end of the teaser. And then I believe the second teaser they posted had the world famous cover art horse, Renee. Everybody, if you're in the Beehive, you know who Renee is. Renee the horse is in one of their teasers. So now the Beehive is buzzing. What is Verizon and Beyonce up to? Are they releasing visuals? Is this Act 2? Is it Renaissance on streaming? First to Verizon customers? We don't know. So they've got us all buzzing and excited to see. And obviously, it doesn't get any bigger than Queen Bee. So I think they're going to have a lot of success and a lot of people talking on social come Sunday.
I love that. And I think it's really cool how these clips have become just their own moment on social media as well. Whether you said it's like the casting or these preview clips of something that we know is going to be really big and exciting to us, but a huge fan base.
Yeah.
But they're having their own moment on social media too. Like I echo that a little bit with the Victoria Beckham t-shirt that she's wearing in the
Oh,
Uber Eats
yeah.
commercial. That's going to be a whole moment where everybody's going to have these t-shirts of funny things referring to that documentary series. So I thought that was another really creative way of just these tip leaks, these quick little videos that they're pushing out are going to get tons of engagement and just create all these different moments, which is going to be so fun to watch.
Absolutely. And isn't it fun to, even going back to Victoria Beckham and of course the now infamous documentary, isn't it fun how two people can remember the same event entirely different?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure someone has studied that way smarter than me in the psychology space, but it's an interesting phenomenon.
Yeah, it's so fun to watch and see it play out in something like
Mhm.
that, and they really leaned into it.
Oh,
Someone like
absolutely.
Posh Spice, you could have cleaned that up and cut it out and not even had it.
Yeah.
They really leaned into it and really humanized her, and I think that was so well done, and now they're playing on it even more, and it's
Yeah,
so,
it's
so
fun.
perfect, so it's going to be a good weekend. I'm super excited to see what
It
else we got
will.
coming out of the commercial vault. But yeah, so back to your speaking session that's going to be happening both in Orlando and in Vegas. The name of the session is Swipe to Success, Nailing the Social Media Storytelling Game in 2024. So just give the audience a little bit of a preview about what that session entails and what people are going to be able to walk away with.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are on the fence about coming to Digital Summit, hopefully this does it. So join me in Orlando and join me in Vegas, because I'm talking about storytelling and content that captivates and keeps your audience thirsty for more. Okay. I'm only going to give you that teaser because truly you have to see it to believe it. Okay. Maybe I'm overhyping it, but it will be great. I promise. It's going to be
You
fun.
can't overhype it.
Yeah, it will be fun. I get to work at a very fun company in Southwest Airlines. So everything we do outside of working hard and taking good care of our customers and one another, we love to have fun. So if nothing else, hopefully you'll walk away with a few nuggets that help you be a better storyteller, be a better content creator, and you'll get to say you had some fun doing it. And who doesn't
I
want to go to
love it.
Orlando and Vegas? So come
I
join
know.
me.
That's what I've been saying. I'm like, it's going to be warm. It's going to be fun. It's going to be buzzing after the
Yes.
Super Bowl. It's perfect time of year. So, yes, so excited to have you. And I think particularly the brand of Southwest Airlines is one that I was genuinely excited about. A brand I've followed, obviously, ever since their inception when I was a kid.
Oh, thank you.
And just really loved the presence that they have in this space of air travel, which is so stressful. They really brought this
Yes.
human element to so many different pieces of it really early on. So I'm really excited for you to be able to instill some of that wisdom and talk about what your team works on. And in that vein, like when
Mhm.
it comes to marketers being able to sort of like strike a balance between being authentic and kind of leveraging those popular trends and leaning into those big moments. How do you do that? How do you create compelling social media that still feels authentic, even after all this time where Southwest really has had this human brand for quite a long time?
It can be tough, but one of the things that has always been important to us, I would even say back in 71, even though I wasn't around in 1971, I know the type of company that was built and the foundation that was laid. We've always been a company who knew exactly who we were. We never
Mhm.
tried to be somebody that we're not. We're not the airline that you're going to fly and get to experience a first class, because we believe all of our seats give you a first class experience when you fly with us because of our hospitality and customer service and fun loving attitude. So we know which brands we're not. We know the brands that maybe align closer to who we are. And we have never strayed from that. So the first thing that I would tell someone else who's looking to do this within their own organization is understand that not every trend is going to be for your brand, right? So we see a number of things across social media, across traditional media, that maybe is popping or trending for better or for worse. And
Mhm.
we see the brands who do it well, and we see the brands who don't do it very well. I would argue 9 out of 10, the brands who are not doing it well, it's because that they shouldn't even have been in the conversation to begin with. It's not that their creative's bad. It's not that the copy is bad. It's it just isn't relevant to their brand. consumers, people on social media, we're able to suss out when a brand is really just trying to be relevant and jump into a conversation that they don't naturally fit into. So I can't tell you how many times our team has debated whether or not we were going to say something on a trending topic or a pop cultural moment. And every which way we tried to make it work, we kept coming back and saying, we just don't fit in this conversation. It doesn't make sense for us to engage. We get that it's going viral and that a lot of brands are receiving great attention, but for us to do it, it will fall flat because it doesn't make sense. And then on the flip side of that, we get really excited when it does make sense for us to jump in and say something and do something. And once we're able to do that, we feel good within us that even if it flops, we still know we should have been in the conversation.
Yeah, I love that. I think one of the things that I particularly loved about the brand that you guys have done recently is really leaning into this trend of getting the trip idea out of the group chat, because I'm always that person who has the ideas and it takes forever to coordinate to get people like really on board with traveling. So I thought you guys leaned into that so well and so creatively, and you could really continue to do that for a pretty long time.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I can't speak highly enough of the team that we have working on this. I get to collaborate with them on a daily basis, and I'm always blown away by the creative ideas that they have. And so one of the things that has been important for us, of course, with the increase of users on TikTok and short form video, both on that platform and then Instagram with Reels, we saw an opportunity to continue reaching a younger audience through our social media, right? We know that we have these legacy channels that are serving a specific demographic, but we know that it's primarily Gen Z and millennials who are populating a lot of these now infamous viral moments across TikTok and Instagram. So for us to be able to be Southwest, but still find a way to talk to them authentically has been one of the fun things that we've had an opportunity to do over the last couple of years, because we get to play, we get to come up with different things and say, did we go too far? Are we acting like our parents where we're trying to sound cool, but we don't? And shout out to our parents, because they're the real MVPs. But we just
100%.
really like finding those opportunities to engage authentically and really have fun.
So when you do that, when you find that moment and you've either gone viral or it's just hit really well, what are the metrics that your team's looking at to really gauge what success looks like?
We often are looking at the vanity metrics, but they're not necessarily weighted as much as some of the other metrics that we're looking at. Of course, we want to know who's liking the post. We want to know, are people commenting, all of those various engagement factors and impressions. But when we really drill down into looking at our measurement and analytics, we're looking at sentiment a lot of times. Using sentiment as something that is weighted a bit higher, because for us, we can have 1 million people comment, like, share a particular post, and that's really good. But why exactly are they doing that? Are they doing it because they're excited about what we said, because it moved them in a positive way? Or are they upset? Do they not like it? Have we angered our customers for one reason or the other? And so when we're able to drill down into sentiment, we can actually assign a value to that post, right? And not necessarily a monetary value, but more so a value just in terms of net sentiment, right? We can give it a certain percentage. And what that allows us to do then is to say, how can we replicate content that has a higher sentiment score versus something that has a lower sentiment score? Now, of course, like anything, there are a variety of factors that potentially could make you think differently about a piece of content, even if it does have a lower sentiment score. And of course, we have to look at news of the day. What's happening around the world, what's happening within our industry, and what's happening within our business. So if we notice that for whatever reason, aircraft are grounded because the FAA has grounded a certain airport for one reason or the other, well, will more people be talking about, hey, my flight was delayed, or it took X amount of time before I was able to get my bag because of the ground delay program or whatever it may be? Well, that may influence the way people are feeling just about air travel as a whole, or Southwest. And then they may go to social media and latch onto a post that really has nothing to do with their travel experience, but they're just looking for a forum to share their experience or to vent or to seek assistance. So for us, we're really looking at it holistically, taking sentiment and then also looking at what's happening around the world in our industry and company to then see what's being successful and what possibly needs a little bit more work.
I love that because it turns this sense of, I say sentiment because you reference it so many times, but it turns that idea of all PR is good PR
Right,
on
right.
its head a little bit. It's and I felt strongly about that way too. Is like bad PR is not a good situation for
No,
anybody. So
no,
it's really good to get into the bottom of why it happened. Was it something that was happening externally that influenced the brand, or was there really a mishap that happened and a misstep that
exactly.
needs to be acknowledged going forward? So I think I love that particular metric because we talk so much about likes and engagement and shares and saves, which are all important
They're
and
important.
they're a way for us to see, measure popularity, measure, everything. But
Mhm.
it definitely speaks a lot highly of the brand when their sentiment is going to be high and positive from a lot of the content that's being pushed out. So love
Absolutely.
that point. So when this is a particularly interesting scenario for you, I think, because myself and probably a lot of other digital marketers, we don't necessarily have the budget for something like a huge commercial spend or
Sure.
something like that, like a Southwest Air does. But I know you focus specifically on social media, but when you guys are creating content that sort of spans all of those different channels, how are you customizing that story? So you're doing the storytelling and maybe there's a general theme that needs to go out across all the brands or across all these channels, but it's going to be very different in how it unfolds on all these different platforms.
Well, so first, Danielle, I'll have to tell you, our social media content, particularly the organic side of what we do at the brand, is sitting in our comms department. So it is housed on our PR team.
Okay.
So all of kind of that organic social that you see coming out, my team is working on that day in and day out. On the flip side of that, we have our marketing partners, of course, who are focused more on our paid efforts, as well as creating those larger campaigns that you might see on TV and digital, different things like that. So when it comes to most of the content we're creating, we aren't necessarily relying on a lot of money to do that because it is being done in-house. And so we do have to get creative as well. We have to find ways that we can make one piece of content stretch and be used in a variety of ways, and even repurposing other people's content, which is one of my points that I'll get to in just a second. But the first thing I would always tell people is think about one piece of content that can work across a variety of channels. Now, how do you do that? You may be saying, well, I'm creating a TikTok video that obviously has to be shot vertically, and it's better if we edit in app or shoot in app. So how do I take that and apply it over on Facebook or apply it on LinkedIn? And the truth of the matter is, you might not necessarily be able to. So I don't want you to get into a predicament where you feel that any one piece of content can be used across all channels. But if you get to thinking in that mindset, what you'll learn is that there may be multiple use cases along the way in the creation of that piece of content that you can apply on other channels. So we do that quite a lot. One thing that we've recently started doing is taking just kind of a plain photo, a beauty picture, if you will. We post a lot of those. People love seeing the Southwest aircraft. So we do a lot of that on Instagram. So we'll take that image and then we'll just make a meme out of that same image, and then we'll put it over on Facebook. So we've taken one single piece of content that performs a certain way on Instagram, and we've kind of flipped it to make it perform differently over on Facebook. So that's what I say. That's what I mean when I say think about your content in ways that you could use it across multiple channels. The other thing I would say that you can do that will help with that, particularly if you have little budget or no budget, is rely on user-generated content. Now, we're blessed that we have customers who are traveling every single day of the week, every day of the year. And because of that, they're constantly sharing with us about their travel experience, sharing winglet photos, sharing photos of their family enjoying the snacks on board or someone being celebrated for a birthday. And we have a team that is actually listening socially and finding those different posts and then flipping them over to my team for potential use across our social channels. Sometimes we're able to just repurpose those photos and videos as is, of course, with the permission of the customer. But occasionally there may be something that we want to expand upon. We see an opportunity to maybe make it a longer story or chop it up in a way that will be appropriate on one channel versus another channel. And that's a really easy way for you as the brand to A, build brand affinity, and then B, get really great usable content. And what we've seen is that when we're posting this user-generated content, other people are commenting, talking about their experience, and then it encourages them to send in their own experiences for a hope at being featured on one of our channels. So don't cancel out your UGC. Find a way to get it, harness it, and then put it out there so people can enjoy.
That's so great. And I'm really excited that you brought up the fact that, it is a bit of a leaner budget when it comes to organic content. And I think that's something that is hard for marketers to, hold on to, but it's the reality. I work on all organic content as well. And that is the reality of it, is trying to go through, and you have the team that does the paid and the team that does the organic, and they're both so important. So it's very validating to hear that from your team. Yes, UGC can go so many directions for you. I think we don't lean on it enough as brands, I don't think. And you have to, like you said, create that experience where someone enjoys creating UGC, they're celebrated for it, and then that's going to spread like wildfire with other people who want to be, reposted by Southwest. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. People love it. It's really fun. It's kind of a way that we're able to make the customer's day, because I would say more often than not, when we are asking for permission or talking to them about, hey, we'd love to share this story one way or the other, they all are so excited. Like, really? You want to tell my story? We're like, yeah. And so it's fun for us, and they're able to share the love, and hopefully it makes them want to come back and fly again with us, and they bring a friend.
And that is just so on brand for Southwest. I can't think of a better way to describe the presence that your team brings to the ether, and how Southwest just really is with its customers. I think that's so great. So thank you so much, Derek. I'm so excited to have you. Orlando and Vegas. Orlando's going to be February 26th through 27th. Las Vegas, March 13th through 14th. Tickets are available. We've got sales going on right now for those tickets as well. It's never too late. You could show up on the site and buy a ticket if you want, and hear from some great speakers like Derek. But we're going to transition quickly into our little lightning round to get to know you a little bit better, Derek.
Okay.
So we'll just start off with, what's an obsession that you have right now? So this might be a show or a podcast or a book that may or may not be work related that's really got you hooked right now.
Okay. So first thing that has me hooked like nobody's business is Abbott Elementary. So good. I am currently catching up on season 2, mostly just because I have too many shows to watch. And when I say I am obsessed, every episode is laugh out loud funny. The cast, whoever the casting director is of Abbott Elementary, I mean, honestly, give that person a raise, and I want them to cast every show from now on. But it's just brilliant. It's comedy. It's heartfelt. It's reminiscent of maybe when you were in elementary school and thinking just about, being young, being a kid, and even just seeing the variety of teachers and administrators that come in and out of the school is just really fun. And I believe Quinta Brunson and her team have created one of the greatest comedies that we've seen probably in the last 20 years. And it's just, I don't know, it's just such a good feel-good show. So Abbott Elementary has me hooked. And then the second thing I'll say is I recently saw the film American Fiction, and equally as brilliant cast. But I need to talk to somebody about this movie because it was satirical. It made me cry. It had something for everybody, and it was a lot of fun, and probably the most fun I've had at the movies in a very long time. So kudos to that team, whomever they are, who brought that to life. But yeah, Abbott Elementary, American Fiction, I'm down to talk about both with whomever. So if you're in Orlando, if you're in Vegas, come talk to me about those two, and then ask to see my TV queue. Because it's long.
I know that list just gets longer every time I go talk to my friends. They're like, is this on your list? Is this, yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
I am at the beginning. I did start first season of Abbott Elementary and could not agree more. It is a fantastically done show.
So good.
Quinta Brunson is just like just
He's
so amazing.
amazing.
So
Yeah.
all right, next question. If you could switch lives with any fictional character for a day, who would it be?
So I'm going to give you two answers because I'm going to give you the answer that I would really enjoy, and then I'm going to give you the answer that's just a bit. Well, you'll see. So the first is Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso
Mm,
is absolutely amazing. He is the most optimistic guy you probably will ever meet. His bad days look like okay days for most people. So it would have to be Ted Lasso, and plus he gets to be in England, which is one of my favorite places in the world. So I'd pick him. And then kind of the second one, I feel horrible picking one of these characters because I think they were despicable, but their lives seem so fun to me. But probably one of the Roy children from Succession.
okay.
And let's be very clear, I do not live my life like them in any way because they really get into a lot of wild, crazy things. But I don't know. I think I would want to know what that life would be like, kind of at that level, just to see the shenanigans and things that go in, and the fun family dynamic. So yeah. So possibly one of the Roys.
I love that. Two great answers. And I think especially with the Roys too, the power of being able to make the moves that they make in that show. Oh man, that just sounds delicious.
I
A
know,
little bit.
yeah, and
Hopefully I'd be a little bit of a better controller of a power like that, but
well, and
I
that's
agree. It would be
I would
interesting.
hope for myself as well, is that I was like, I would want to be a good person. I wouldn't want to do the things they do, but would be interesting to live out for a day.
Absolutely. So just last question, is there anywhere untraditional that you go to get inspired to do your job every day?
So I consider myself a creative. So I enjoy anything creative, pop culture, entertainment, music, movies, screenwriting, all those different things. So when I really think about inspiration, I'm looking at different ways that I can tell stories and finding interesting, cool opportunities to think about a piece of content differently. So I look at songwriting just in terms of musicians and in popular music, people like Frank Ocean and Kevin Garrett and Yeba, who I think are just three fantastic songwriters. The way that they're able to tell a story within their music just moves you and transports you and makes you feel things that maybe others are not capable of. So I'm always inspired when I hear a turn of phrase in one of their songwriting, or a melody that is different, and it just kind of triggers something in my brain to continue thinking, okay, how can I do things differently? And then over on the screenwriting side, screenwriting is something that I have been a fan of, probably 20 years, and being able to look at a script and see how people are constructing a scene and telling a specific story is also another source of inspiration. People like Ava DuVernay and Issa Rae are really inspiring to me. And then the last thing I will say, and I've already said it already, as a card carrying member of the Beehive, I had an opportunity to go see the Renaissance tour last year and left there completely inspired. And also I felt unaccomplished and had an existential crisis. Like, what am I doing with my life? Because to witness such a performance and such technical brilliance and difficulty in a stadium show was just, I honestly was all inspiring. So I really did walk away there, not only as a fan, but as a creative, saying to myself, like, there's so much more that we can be doing. We're smart, we're talented, we have a great product. So let's push the envelope. Let's do more. Let's try different things. So anytime I'm able to experience something like that, I can't help but walk away inspired and ready to go above and beyond. So so yeah, so that would be it.
That's amazing. And I feel inspired just hearing you talk about all these experiences. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Once again, Derek's going to be joining us in Orlando, February 26th, 27th. He's going to be back again in Vegas, March 13th and 13th and 14th. He is a fan favorite speaker. We're so excited to have him back this year. You're going to learn a ton from his session and all of the other amazing speakers at Digital Summit this year. So thank you, Derek, so much for taking the time with us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Danielle, and I'll see you soon.